good day everyone. I am back again and again, and today I am going to share to you another topic. And our topic for today is all about dangling modifiers. So it is a sentence correction. So, are you ready? But before anything else, let's meet our objectives. So at the end of the lesson, you will be able to first define what is dangling modifier, how to fix a dangling modifier, and cite examples of dangling modifiers and how we will going to fix it. So yes, are you ready? Let's go. But before anything else, since our topic is all about dangling modifier, we should first identify what is modifier. So modifier, it is the one that modifies. So from the word modifies, modifier. So it is a word, a phrase, or clause that provides description. It is the life of the sentence because they provide a detailed description of every people, place, or things in a sentence. So that is what we call modifier. Now, since we are finished identifying, we already know what is modifier, let's meet our main topic, which is the dangling modifier. So what is dangling modifier? So from the word dangling, this refers to hanging or swinging loosely. So it means that it is incomplete. So when we talk about modifier, also it stands for a person or things that make partial or minor changes to something. So when we combine these two, it is a modifier or a word or phrase that modifies, which makes the meaning of a sentence to swing or incomplete. So it is an incomplete sentence and error sentence. So it is a word or phrase that modifies a word that is not clearly stated in the sentence. So yes, that is our main topic for today, which is the dangling modifier. So again, dangling modifier is a modifier which makes the meaning of a sentence to swing or incomplete. So yes, that is dangling modifier. So for now, how can we know or how can we say if that is an incomplete sentence or a dangling modifier? So the question is when the dangling modifier occurs. So we can see if that is an example of dangling modifier, or the dangling modifier occurs if a modifier or a word or phrase modifies or changes the meaning different word rather than the targeted one. So it will be called dangling modifier. So it occurs when the intended subject of the modifier is missing from the sentence and instead another subject appears in its place. So in short, we can see if that is an example of dangling modifier if we can't see a subject or the doer of the action. These are reminders in how we can see if that sentence is incomplete or an example of dangling modifier. And to further understand what is a dangling modifier, here is an example. So we have this: stepping onto the field, expressions change suddenly. So the question in the sentence, who stepped onto the field? Whose mood changed or whose expressions change suddenly? So yes, from that questions we can conclude that there is no subject or doer of the action. So yes, that's an example in how we can identify or how an dangling modifier occurs. So in order for us to fix that incomplete sentence, we have this two ways in how to fix a dangling modifier. So first, this is the basic way on how we can fix a dangling modifier is we should identify the subject, since the subject is the one missing in the sentence. Then next, the second one is to add the subject close to its modifier. So here is the correct form of the sentence, and we will going to apply this too. So we have these two options. First, stepping onto the field, the girl's expressions change suddenly. So upon reading this first sentence, we can clearly, conclude that we have already a subject or the doer of the action, and we have the girl. So the question, who stepped into the field? So the girls. Whose expression changed suddenly? So the girl. As we can see from the changing of from fixing the dangling modifier, we can now say that that's not incomplete anymore. So that is an example on how we can correct a dangling modifier. Second, we have after the girl stepped onto the field, the girl's expression changed suddenly. So as we can see, they are just the same. We can see that there is a doer of the action. So yes, that's how we will going to fix a dangling modifier. So in order for us to further understand, or for us to easily fix a dangling modifier, here is another methods on how to fix a dangling modifier. So the other methods in how we can easily fix a dangling modifier is we have method 1, which is to revise the main clause. So one method of fixing a dangling modifier is to leave the modifier as it is and rewrite the main clause so that it begins with the subject being modified. So we have an example. Here is an example on how to revise the main clause. Before anything else, I just want to tell everyone that the first sentence is an example of dangling modifier, and the second sentence is the correct form of the sentence. So first, we have the example of dangling modifier. Having injured his dominant hand, it was difficult to write the exam. So the question in the sentence, whose hand has been injured? So yes, basically we don't know who is the doer of the action, so that's example of dangling modifier. So in order for us to fix this, we will going to revise the main clause. Since our main clause is it was difficult to write the exam. So when we were going to transform this one to a correct form, we made it to having injured his dominant hand, we put the subject, which is John. So John had difficulty writing the exam. So yes, as we can see, there is a subject appears, which is John. So now we can conclude the subject or the sentence is complete. So yes, do you get it? Let's have another example. Let's move on to the next example. So to become a practicing dentist, many teeth must be cleaned, filled, and filed. So as we can see, the main clause of the sentence is many teeth must be cleaned, filled, and filed. So in order for us to fix this dangling modifier, we will going to revise the main clause again. So we made it to become a practicing dentist, you must clean, fill, and file many teeth. So as we can see, there is a subject appears, who is you. So you is the subject of the sentence, and now we can see that it is not a dangling modifier anymore. So that is the first method in how we will going to fix a dangling modifier, which is to revise the main clause. Now let's move on to the second method of fixing a modifier is to revise the modifier phrase. So another method of fixing a dangling modifier is to include the subject in the introductory phrase, then leaving the main clause at as it is. So here is an example. So the first one is still an example of dangling modifier, in the second sentence is an example if correct form of the sentence. So having injured his dominant hand, it was difficult to write the exam. So as we can see again, it is not a complete sentence. So when we were going to correct this one, we revised the modifier phrase. So we have our modifier phrase as having injured his dominant hand. So when we were going to transform this one, we were going to correct this one, we put because plus the subject, then it became because John had injured his dominant hand, it was difficult to write the exam. So in the corrected sentence, the dangling modifier is replaced with a complete clause that clearly state the subject who is doing the action. So as we can see, we have John. So yes, that's how we will go to revise the modifier phrase. Next, further understand, we have the next example. So while driving to work, a car accident caused a traffic jam on the highway. So the question is, who is driving to work? So as we can see, we can't identify who is the subject. So in order for us to correct this one, we will go into revise the modifier phrase. So we make it to, we put while plus the subject. So while Jane was driving to work, a car accident caused a traffic jam on the highway. So we can see that the one is driving to work was Jane. So we can conclude that Jane is the one who's driving to work, then a car accident caused a traffic jam on the highway. So we can say that that is not a dangling modifier anymore. So that's basically, that turns basically to a complete sentence. So yes, that's the other method in how we will going to fix a dangling modifier, which is to revise the modifier phrase. So do you get it? I hope you really get it. And that ends my report about dangling modifier. So again, dangling modifier, it is a word or phrase that modifies a word that is not clearly stated in the sentence. So I hope that you guys learned something today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you are going to have a nice day ahead. Once again, thank you and God bless us all.